All right, welcome back to Pure Perspectives with Gary Pierce from Pure Funding and
Willis Richardson.
Willis Richardson. Yes,
Good to
sir.
see y'all.
So exciting. This is an interesting podcast because this is going to be our first one that's going live on Spotify as well. So we are taking our video podcast that we do here on YouTube that hopefully everybody's watching on YouTube, and we're going to post the audio out there on Spotify so you can listen in and get some mortgage tips, kind of learn a little bit about Pure Funding. And so it's kind of a good segue. We've been we're 3 years next month. We got our license 3 years ago. It's been a very kind of interesting road.
We were quitting our jobs around 3 years ago this week.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, because we started quitting our jobs and then we had to get stuff going, get the LLC paperwork, all that going.
Okay.
And then we could start applying for our licensing. Licensing came in at the beginning of June.
It was 1st of June.
Yep.
Okay. So so definitely 3 years.
3 years.
Well, that's a good segue. So you already kind of hit on it a little bit. Dig in a little deeper about like kind of where, for the people that aren't familiar with us, new listener, Spotify, even on YouTube. And if you haven't subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button. It really helps us out a lot. Hit the like. We're doing some live videos as well, weekly. We're trying to get some of those out there, some more live Q&A, helping folks with their mortgage plans and that sort of thing. And we'll talk about just about anything.
Yeah, so let us know. Send in your questions.
So tell us about it, Willis.
Pure Funding. So Pure Funding really started a little over 3 years ago. We were working for a really good internet company that bought leads from LendingTree and other internet sources. And we had really low rates. And because of that, during the refinance boom, we both worked there. I think you worked there a month longer than I did by the time I came on, but we worked there for about 18 months. And during that 18 months, I like to tell people this because somebody might say, oh, you've only been a loan officer for 5 years. But during those 18 months, the team that Gary managed, and then I was a sales manager with him or under him, we closed just under 2,800 loans. Like that is a blistering amount of loans. I mean, just personally, we've closed hundreds of loans ourselves. And so we had seen a lot of things, and we had been able to help a lot of people. And we really learned a process to get loans closed quickly. A lot of other lenders get hung up in places. Things get kind of off the rail. That loan, you come into a rough spot, and so it gets stuck over here, and maybe a couple weeks go by or something. That doesn't happen with us because the processes that we learned to be able to close that many loans that quickly, we brought over when we started Pure Funding. But what would happen is we were sitting there with this company, and they had great rates and they had a great process. They taught us a lot, but we were having to say no to a lot of people that we lived and worked around. With that company, we were closing loans. I think we were both licensed in like 14 or 15 states, and we were closing loans all over the United States. But somebody here in Parker County where we live might come to us and say, hey, I have this horse property, or I have a property that has more than 20 acres, or I want to buy some land, or I want to start something else that we wouldn't be able to do. Somebody might come in and say, I want to do a fix and flip. Chip and Joanna were real big. I want to do a fix and flip. I want to be the next Chip and Joanna. I want to get into investments. And we had some investments that we could do, but they were limited. And so when we sat down and said, okay, we think the market's changing, there's not going to be as many refinances. We really need to start pursuing purchases and working in that area. We said, hey, we don't want to just do conventional VA and FHA loans. We want to be able to help farm and ranch. We want to be able to help future investors build a portfolio. And so when we started doing this, we started looking for partners and lending partners that could fit all these different areas. And so when we say that we can do a lot of different loans, we can, because we saw the need. And so anytime we saw a need, we found a different lender that could meet that need. And that's just been just been a great part to see how we've been able to bring that together.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. At the beginning there was, some hurdles
Yeah.
and some things like that we had to overcome.
What would you say is looking back in the first 6 to 12 months, what was the most difficult part?
Getting the first loan, 100%.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a very it was a fun time because we were getting a lot of things together, but it was also stressful. Like, we're doing all this work and we still don't have a loan even in the pipeline.
You would have thought we were, Rocket Mortgage where we were walking around town.
Yeah. Without a single loan to our name.
Yeah.
But yeah, they were, it was I wouldn't say stressful because you knew it was coming, but it was this, okay, when is it going to come? That was interesting. Taking the process that we had from the beginning and, that we were used to at the company that we were at before, and then applying it to the situation we were now. At the very beginning, it was just you and I. We didn't even have a third-party processor that could come in and help us get documents together, things like that. We did have to try a couple of those before we got to the
some bumps in the road there.
To Deepa, who helped, and now even Natalie, who just, if you've done a loan with Natalie, you know how great that is, and how smooth that is. So, just kind of trying to get that all together. I had never processed a loan. I'd closed a bunch of them. Don't ask me what that document means.
I don't. You don't want me processing your loans. If you got me processing your loans in trouble.
Yeah. Hey, so when we were starting this out, what were some of the founding principles that you wanted us to be founded on?
Well, I think, community-based is probably the biggest thing that we lacked, being an internet company. It's really hard. And even managing a company, we had a good team, and even, we had teammates all over the country, but I think community, not only being involved in the community, whether it's at the chambers, with our charities that we are heavily involved with, I felt like that was still a key component that was missing. We didn't have a lot of, face-to-face interaction. Even though we had the office, we didn't go to we went to the office, but not like we do now.
Yeah, we went to the office to be able to actually see someone. Yeah. Because working for an internet company, you're just sitting at your house all day.
Yeah. And that was, I think for me, it was building that part of it. And through that, the culture kind of has progressed out of that. And I think, the folks that we've hired over the last, 3 years, you can see it in their attraction to Pure Funding and kind of the things we're doing and putting our clients and the community first and being involved. So I think that it all goes back to community. Susan was our first hire, and she was at the previous company as well as a processor. And now she's come on and taken on a lot more, a different role, larger role. So that's been a huge help, at least from my perspective, because before I didn't have all the regulatory and compliance stuff. And so now we have that. And so that was very, very important, I think. And just having her on the team is awesome. All the things that she does in the background to kind of keep things moving. And then Natalie and her together, from a processing standpoint, I'll put them up against anybody in the business, hands down.
They are better than everyone.
Yeah, it's a no. It really makes our, from when we started to where we are today, it's interesting to see. I think the biggest thing is the quality of the files have gotten much more difficult, and so income has gotten a lot harder. Qualifying folks has gotten a lot harder. I mean, obviously we're in a rising rate environment. Taxes have gone through the roof. Insurance same,
Yep.
and so all those factors, we needed to be much more what I would consider athletic and flexible and knowledgeable. And I always say Natalie's forgotten more about guidelines than I'll ever know,
Oh yeah.
and rattles them off left and right. But I think that's, to me, is, the principles, faith-based community, do right by our clients, do right by our teammates, and do the right thing.
Yeah.
That's really the biggest thing I would say is when we started that, that's what I was kind of envisioning us to be
Yeah.
able to grow this into. And so, I guess I'll kind of, in a similar way, I'll ask you, what do you think differentiates Pure Funding now that, we've been at it 3 years and kicking that around? And,
Yeah. I think one of the things that really stands out, I think it's the community involvement. If you talk to anyone, they see that we're involved with, they see that we're around people and we're trying to make a difference, not just in, doing loans. Anyone can do a loan. Well, no, actually I take that back.
Right.
I used to think anyone could do a loan.
No, not today.
Not today.
If you're doing loans today, you're good.
Loans today, you are doing well. You are the cream of the crop. But being involved really sets us apart. But I think a lot of that comes from our mission, which is just to provide that seamless lending experience, an effective communication, a differentiated product set, and just a process that gets people to the closing table on time. Like those are the things that have really set us apart. And that was kind of our mission when we came in. We wanted to be involved in the community. We wanted to be able to communicate with people. The number one thing that you hear from realtors about lenders is they don't know what's going on. And they're not kept in the loop.
Yeah.
And I would say, that doesn't really happen at Pure Funding. Maybe somewhere something's happened in 3 years. So don't like crucify me on that statement. But we try to go and place time blocks in our schedule during the week to even keep people up to date on stuff.
Yeah.
Like I talked about the products, we have all the residential lending, we have farm and ranch, we have investment lending for those that are self-employed. We have special programs to help you get into a home. So there's a lot of different products. And then, our process. I mean, that really is, it is, even with as difficult as these loans can be, there's a lot of people that just come out and just say, hey, that was actually pretty smooth.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you didn't see the dumpster fire behind me the whole time because I was running interference.
Yeah.
We just, that sets us apart. We really try to focus on the client experience. I think that's why they think it's such a smooth process. And, hey, if you're self-employed, you're going to need to get a lot of documents. It's just the way it is. You're going to need more documentation, but we try to make that as smooth and as possible. If there's anything that we can get in the process and not put on you to have to find, we try to look it up and find that. So that helps. And another thing is in kind of looking towards the future is we have the ability, because of the company and because of our involvement in it, to constantly be changing, to constantly be moving, adapting to a changing environment, which every single year, outside of the consistency of the last 3 years, have just been hard. I mean, that's pretty consistent. It's just been hard for 3 years.
Yeah, it has.
We started our company, and within 2 months, rates had gone from 4% to 7%. Like and they've stayed there for 3 years.
Yeah.
I think that also kind of gives, kind of points out something that Pure Funding is just the resiliency that we've had. We have not only stayed in it, but we've been able to grow during the last 3 years. And there was a statistic at the beginning of this year that just kind of blew my mind. At the end of 2021, there were about 398,000 licensed loan officers in the United States. At the beginning of 2025, there were 92,000. I
Big
mean,
number.
75% of loan officers got out of the business between the end of 21 and the beginning of 25.
Yeah, I mean, that was a huge product of the refinance boom, which
Yeah. And it was
Yeah.
kind of bloated because there was so much
Yeah.
refinances going on, but
Yeah, because people were refinancing, a few times in a year sometimes, rate and term, rates were moving that low, that fast. Yeah, it was, being able to adapt and grow is super. And that's where our team is really good, having that experience, having the horsepower in the knowledge set of having done a lot of loans, whether it's, with us or other places that our team has been, the loan officers, whether they're, Mark specialized in VA, Jennifer's knowledge. I mean, the experience that comes with this team is really, we don't give it enough credit.
No,
I don't think even, just thinking about it. But.
Well, I mean, every single one of our loan officers was licensed before or during 2020 and has made it through the last 3 years.
Yeah.
Because of just resiliency. Yeah. Maybe it's just hard-headedness. That's what it probably is. We're just more hard-headed. And
there has to be some of that for sure with the being in this industry. Absolutely.
So what do you think, with our ability to adapt with the things that we're seeing, what do you see for the future of Pure Funding?
So our goal is to build, we talk about community, is to build our community one loan at a time. It's part of our one homeowner at a time. So that's part of the deal. We're not going to, the goal isn't to become some massive lender. If we never, if we stayed at the same headcount today as we, over the next 2 or 3 years, we got what we need. That's the way I look at it. But there is opportunity, and I'm excited about that. So that, there's some other, some state growth that I think we'll see. We're researching and talking to some folks about some potential new states to do some of these products. A lot of the investor stuff in other states is a huge opportunity. We are, personally, Willis and I, investing heavily back into the company, whether it's, software, marketing, that sort of thing. So I definitely see us over the next 3 years continuing that path, trying to get better. I think one of the places is right here on this, YouTube channel, especially, so make sure if you're out there, hit that subscribe button. We need to grow this thing.
Click here. I don't know if we're that good yet. Click here.
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay, we can do that.
And we can click down there too.
Click down there.
So, but no, I think, the future is, I'm excited about, because we haven't had a tailwind. And, my previous companies, there's always some sort of tailwind in the market, whether I was in the auto finance side, personal, consumer finance, when I was doing, personal loans, there was always a tailwind in the market. And we had that Pure Funding. Yeah. We haven't had that here. And
that was a gale force wind.
That was a tornado.
Tornado wind.
Yes. And so I think, the biggest thing is going to be keep doing the right things, fine tune our processes, keep getting better. We're always looking for new investors to place loans with that can help our clients, because that's the biggest thing is the client folks need help, right? And a lot of times we're still new, where people still call us up and say, hey, you guys, the guys that do the real weird loans, and typically the response is yes, if you're self-employed and you don't, claim anything on your taxes, which is not a bad thing. No, your CPA is doing you right. But when you come to us and you want a loan, then the conversation gets a little tricky, and we got to get creative and figure out ways in products that'll work for those type of folks. So I think that's the biggest thing. Adding new tools. I think, the home wealth report we have access to, that's a great tool. Gives consumers the ability to kind of track the value of their property. Right. It gives them idea, and you can combine that with their current mortgage, You can use it to identify an opportunity if you want to keep your property and buy a new one and make it a rental property. So those are the kind of things we want to keep adding value. And I'd be remiss, in not speaking about our partners. Working with, we've had a great relationships established in the last 3 years, and just kind of continue to grow those and grow with those teams and seeing them grow. And typically that's mainly on the real estate side, but we do have a lot of affiliate partnerships that, whether it's in title or, on the roofing side,
Right.
Anything kind of residential in nature that we work around. So definitely see that growth, and just looking to get stronger into that. So, I would encourage everybody at this point, if you haven't checked us out, one of our big things is social media. You got the What You Talking About Willis series.
We're trying to start it up again.
Well,
we've kind of been busy, but not too busy.
Not too busy, but
we should be doing more.
We got to do more. We got to get more content out there. So that's our goal. Definitely hit that subscribe button, hit the share button. We're on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. And now for you Spotify listeners, we'll be hitting up, our goal is to do a couple of these a month for Spotify. And we will get that information out there to you. And so we'll go ahead and wrap it up and let you know more about what's going on.
Yeah. Well, if you ever need anything for your mortgage needs, give us a call. We'd love to help you. Shameless plug.
Yes.
Plug it in right there.
Yeah.
Give us a call. We'd love to help you. If you're struggling with payments, if you're needing to refinance, if you're needing to pay off bills, we'd love to help. But you know what? If you're looking at that forever home or that first home or anything in between, investment, farm and ranch, we're here to be your lenders and to help you in that area too. So